Hello everyone, in this video, Griselin, Sachiko, and Omar from Group 4 will explain about Gesell's classic motor development theory.
So first, we are going to start by explaining the maturation theory by Gesell. There are two main concepts of maturation theory, and the first is sequential development, which means that he believed that children develop independently at their own rate, but that every child followed the same sequence, which is crucial to know since it can still be used today to understand child development. And for the second concept of maturation theory, Gesell believed that there are two major forces that influence development, and that is environment and genetics. So, genetics affect the when and the rate of development, but the environment taught children how to behave in a proper manner. For example, we usually see children crawl before they start to walk, or they walk before they start running. However, this does not imply that every child develops at the same rate. They grow at various rates. Some children can stand and walk at a very young age, while others can develop similar abilities later in life. Nonetheless, they follow the same steps. Gesell also thinks that every kid has an internal timetable that must be adhered to. He believes that when a child's nervous system is ready, he or she will develop capacities like crawling, walking, and talking. With this mindset, efforts to accelerate children's motor development will provide minimal benefit. Although genes definitely play a significant role in child development, this does not mean that the environment has no influence. Genes do not act in isolation, but rather respond to environmental cues. As a result, even while discussing the function of a gene, it is vital to consider its external environment.
There are three concepts in Gesell's principles of development. So first, we are going to explain about reciprocal interweaving. In reciprocal interweaving, he proposed that the two hemispheres of the brain develop individually but need to eventually reach effective organization. So they don't develop at the same time, but eventually they both need to work together, and that's when the development is complete. And this kind of behavior occurs, and there's evidence of it with hand movements, walking, using different grasping techniques, and that eventually one side of the brain becomes more dominant and determines things like whether somebody is right-handed or left-handed, and that we have to balance the dualities of our nature. Gesell also believes that this kind of behavior also helps to represent the growth of the child's personality. People, however, do not achieve ideal equilibrium, resulting in functional asymmetry. Functional asymmetry refers to the two hemispheres of the brain cooperating, and you will witness development or signs of development in one versus the other, but they must finally cooperate. The tonic neck reflex is an example of this. When newborns lie on their backs because they want to, if you move their head one way, they will stretch their arm out, the arm on the side the baby is facing, and then place the other arm behind their head, almost like a fencing position. And it's a response that all babies acquire. It's most noticeable in the first 3 months following birth.
Next, in Gesell's principles of development is self-regulation. So Gesell said that there's an innate timetable within babies that is so strong they can actually regulate their own behavior and development. And when they're allowed to determine their own schedule, they eventually work out a schedule of their own. And so Gesell would say to not force the baby to adhere to a schedule that you prefer, but rather let the baby determine their own nursing and sleeping schedules. Eventually, they will require fewer feedings, they'll stay awake longer, and they'll follow this pattern. However, Gesell believed that self-regulation also ensured the baby didn't learn too much too fast. So he would also point out that when it seems like the babies are resisting learning something new, it's because they may not be ready yet. So they will learn it when they're ready, and they will be more open to it when they're ready. Gesell also explains about individuality. In his view regarding individuality, he stated that the sequential aspect of development was the same for all children, but there was a difference in the rate. He said that the rate would vary according to the temperament and personality. For example, child A might grow slowly, is generally cautious, slow, have the ability to wait, and is wise about life's problems. Child B might grow fast, react more quickly, is happy, bright, clever, and shows brilliance. Then child C would grow irregularly, meaning not so fast and not so slow. They could be cautious, but react quickly in other patterns. So from this example, we can know that each child develops in a way that fits their temperament and personality in a way that's necessary, and that trying to change that or force that would be problematic for the child.
Tips and tricks. First, parents should follow the child's cues and that they guide and help the child know when the timing is right for them to learn something new. An example of this is demand feeding by following baby's schedule, like letting the baby indicate when the baby is hungry, feeding the baby until the baby is satisfied, but never force the baby to eat by waking them up even when it's time to eat. Yet, the parent should wait until the baby gives cues like crying, indicating that the baby needs to eat. Because by doing so, you are letting the child develop their own internal clock. Second, parents should appreciate the wonder of growth. So instead of focusing on what comes next, stop and realize that there will only be this one moment and appreciate what is happening in the baby's life now. For example, parents should appreciate the fact that babies creep before they walk and they walk before they start running. Third, parents should learn to respond to their child's demands throughout infancy in order to be naturally sensitive to the child's unique interests and talents later in life. They will be less likely to force their own expectations on the child and more likely to let their child be unique and to develop and discover their own aspirations. The last one is, parents should give up the notion that how a child turns out is all up to the parents and that there is no time to waste. If the child grows slowly, then parents shouldn't force the child to learn fast and ahead of its time, because it will be problematic for the child and it's not going to have a big effect if the parent tried to make the child learn before their nervous system is ready. That's all from us and thank you!